in case that you have any questions about the implementation and how you go about doing it. I mean, is this process clear? Like, do we have any questions, any confusions, any doubts? If you think I'm going very fast, please let me know. I'll slow down. Sometimes I tend to go very fast as well. So please let me know. So I'm assuming
Perfect.
everything is going well.
It's perfect. Perfect.
Oh, okay. Okay. So now that we understand that what is design thinking, why design thinking is useful, what are the different constructs of design thinking, how can we implement design thinking? Now we start looking into the applications of design thinking, that where and when we should apply design thinking. Should we apply design thinking in every situation, or we should be selective about applying design thinking? So let us take a look at a few situations. So I have a challenge. I have a situation here that my tap in my bathroom is leaking. Should I apply design thinking to solve this problem? I mean, what do you say? The tap in my bathroom is
I
leaking.
think
Should I apply design? Yes, Mr. Jadip.
I don't think so. Here we need to apply design thinking because it can be fixed by with few simple steps.
Exactly, exactly. You're bang on. We don't have to apply design thinking to fix such a menial problem, because design thinking is not a break fix. Just call a plumber and get it fixed. Right. So design thinking. So when your tap in your bathroom is leaking, you don't have to apply design thinking to go about solving such a small problem. Now there is another situation. The accounting books of my company are showing major errors. Now, can design thinking be used to fix this problem? Like, I'm running an organization, my accounting book is showing errors. Like, what should I do? I apply design thinking to solve this problem? Anybody? Okay, so the answer is maybe. I mean, design thinking can be used to solve this problem. It can be used, it may not be used. But do we want to use design thinking to solve accounting problems? Wouldn't it be easier just to call an account or a good chartered accountant and he is going to fix the problem? So something are best left to specialists. So like whenever we encounter a problem, so we have to always look this from this filter, and that filter is wicked problems. That is this problem worth solving? Is this problem worth applying design thinking? Because design thinking is a complex process. Although like it's a simple process, but still like it's a time-consuming process. I mean, you have to go through so many phases. Like, do you actually need to put design thinking out here? Maybe not. So, but now we have got another situation that I'm a tap manufacturer. I'm receiving complaints about my taps and the leak in the bathroom. Now, should I apply design thinking to solve this problem?
Yeah, of course. Here we can apply.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Because now this is no longer an individual problem. This is no longer a product based problem. The problem is somewhere in the process, and we're not able to understand what the process is. So many errors are coming. Now, as an organization, we can apply design thinking and we can solve this problem. Now we have got another situation. I am developing an accounting software. Several clients have reported that my software is throwing errors. Can design thinking approach be used to fix this problem? Yes, no, maybe.
Um, Maybe.
Okay.
We can
Design thinking. Mhm. Please go ahead.
we surely have to have a design thinking here, because we are developing a new software, because we need to consider all errors. No,
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So, hell yes, design thinking should be used here. So, all the design thinkers are at work. So, design thinking is not a break fix tool, it's an innovation tool. So, we should know as design thinkers, as problem solvers, when to use design thinking, when to apply design thinking, and when not to apply design thinking. So these are just a couple of examples. And since all of you are faculty members, I'm sure like all of you will be able to figure out when you see a problem that whether design thinking should be applied here or design thinking should not be applied here. So where should we apply design thinking? So we should apply design thinking in solutions which need a user experience. So if you don't need a user experience, probably it is not a good idea to use those design thinking out there. When we are creating long lasting and agile solutions, when we are creating flexible solutions which are going to last for long, so we should use design thinking there, because we don't want a solution to just go away immediately. We want it to stand for some time. Solutions which need continuous upgradation. I mean, we have got manufacturing products, we have got software products which require constant upgradation. So whenever we require constant upgradation, because the user mood also keeps changing. I mean, users, we humans are very fickle people. We like our minds are not constant, our moods are not constant, our moods keep changing every time. So like we have to, as innovators, as designers, we have to always keep a track of the mood of the end user. So the solutions which require continuous upgradation, design thinking can be used there. When we are dealing with wicked problems, of course, we have to use design thinking to solve the wicked problems, where the solutions need to be technically feasible, economically viable, and user desirable. These were the three principles that we understood. So whenever we have to apply these three principles, we use design thinking. Okay, now we are coming to our last construct. I mean, so our last part of our presentation, that is design thinking and research. But before I go there, any questions about design thinking so far? Because right now, so far we were discussing this more from a practitioner's point of view and an organizational point of view. Now we are going to go more from a research point of view, that you as faculty, you as research scholars, how you can use design thinking when you are authoring papers, when you are using design thinking in research. So do we have any questions about the practitioner's point of view or the organizational point of view? Okay, so I'm assuming that we're all good so far. And now we can start discussing that how design thinking can be applied in the research process, in the academic process. So design thinking now like we're thinking purely as a researcher, like we are thinking purely as now let's put off or take off our organizational hat, our designer hat, and let's put on our academic hat on, and we start thinking purely in terms of as academics, as researchers. So design thinking is not a new concept. I mean, although like design thinking has been popularized in the past 2 decades after 2000. However, design thinking is not it's not a new concept. The timeline of design thinking goes back to 1926. So the first paper that was kind of the foundation of design thinking today was called the four-stage model of creativity, and that is considered the foundation of design thinking. In 1960s, like there was a struggle to scientize the design. So initially, like design used to be considered more of an artistic subject. It was not considered a research topic. It was not considered a scientific topic. However, in 1960s, the researchers, the professors, the faculty, the scientists, the academic and the scientific community, they started thinking differently, and they started thinking of design as a scientific construct. So in 1969, like Herbert Simon, like he was the first person to conceive design as a scientific construct. So, and he defined design as a way of thinking. So far, like design was more about aesthetics. Design was more about making things prettier, like as most of us think, as most of the lay people think about, that design is more about making the things look pretty. However, now in 1969, like design was from just being an aesthetic concept, it became more of a scientific concept, became more of a thinking concept. So we started thinking more systematically about design. In 1973, Rittel and Weber, they coined the term wicked problems. So the concept of wicked problems came in 1973. At that point of time, like wicked problems were more societal and cultural problems. But later, as we had discussed, like the concept of wicked problem evolved, and now wicked problems can be applied to business, science, technology, engineering, manufacturing, and so many different fields. In 1982, Nigel Cross discusses the designer's problem in his paper Designerly Ways of Knowing. So from ways of thinking, the design concept evolved into the ways of knowing. In 1987, the first time the design thinking term appeared when Harvard professor Peter Rowe published his book called Design Thinking. So that was the first time, like when this term design thinking that we are all very excited about came into being, design thinking. Although like, this concept was there, the underlying concepts that we had just discussed were there. However, like the term design thinking was kind of formalized in 1987. In 1990, IDEO was formed. Now when we were discussing Tim Brown, we discussed about IDEO. IDEO is the premier design institute of the world. So IDEO was formed in 1990, and the design model that we were looking at was presented. So now we started looking at design as a process model, as a framework to solve problems, as an innovation tool. So in 1990, like design thinking started being looked as a problem solving method, as an innovation tool. In 1992, Carnegie Mellon professor Richard Buchanan published his paper where he proposes design thinking to solve wicked problems. Now, in 1992, design thinking and wicked problems, like we started off this presentation with this note that design thinking and wicked problems are related. So in 1992, Richard Buchanan had mapped these two concepts together, design thinking and wicked problems. So design thinking is a concept that solves wicked problems. So that happened in 1992. In 2005, design thinking became an academic subject, and it was started being taught at the Stanford School of Design. And after 2005, like the growth of design thinking has been stupendous, both from an academic perspective and an organizational perspective. Organizations are using design thinking as a construct to improve their innovation processes and creativity in the organization. Academicians are using design thinking constructs for publication purposes and research purposes. So design thinking has become a very important research topic as well. So design thinking has evolved over a period of time, and now design thinking is finding a mainstream place in the academic literature. So now that we understand the timeline and the history of design thinking, we'll go through some models of design thinking. What are some of the popular models of design thinking which have evolved over a period of years, and how research about design thinking has evolved. So one of the important models here is called the knowledge funnel. So in the knowledge funnel, so when we study the things, when we do research from an organizational standpoint, so if we see an organization initially, when an organization is new or when an organization is not very refined, it is in a mysterious stage. It is in a mysterious stage. It has got all the information of the world available with them, but they do not know what to do with the information. They have got all the problems of the world, but they don't know how to go about fixing that problem. So this is the mystery that is taking place. However, like when you actually go through the knowledge funnel, when you apply design thinking to the knowledge funnel, with the help of design thinking, this mystery starts getting solved. And from mystery, the second stage is it becomes heuristic. That means like it is, although like it is not like a very scientifically explainable solution, but still the solutions that are generated through the process of design can be used to solve the problems. So like from a mysterious stage, we have come to a more heuristic stage, to a more plausible stage. And when we do further refinement, we start getting very clearly defined processes, which are algorithms. So all the good organizations, the organizations that function well, the organizations that have included design in their strategy are have got very well defined processes. They have got very well defined algorithms. They have got very well defined ways of doing things. And this is what the knowledge funnel talks about. So this knowledge funnel was presented by Roger Martin in 2010. So this is like one of interesting design thinking models. I mean, there are many more design thinking models also, but we'll be discussing a few of them only because we are running out of time. We have only 20 minutes left. So another design thinking model, which gained a lot of traction in the academic community, was the design ladder. So the design ladder was promoted by the Danish Design Center. So in Denmark, like there is a design center, like US and UK as well, and it is a very popular design center too. Now, according to the Danish Design Center, the research that they did with the organization, they were able to find out that there are four stages of design thinking in the organizational strategy. So when we're talking about from an organizational standpoint, the first stage is that there is no design. So design plays no role in an organization when it comes to product or service development. There is no concept of design. There is no concept of design thinking. Nobody talks about design. And nobody knows what design is. Nobody knows about what customer orientation is. Nobody knows about what iterativeness is. Nobody knows about what visualization is. So it's completely non-design. The second stage is that we use design as a style. So in some of the earlier slides, like we were discussing about the aesthetic concept of design. So we use design as a style. So the second stage is like the organizations, they get some understanding about design a little bit, and they think design only in the terms of style. So design is relevant to the organization, but it is more relevant in terms of aesthetics and beauty and style and looks and feel. The third stage is like when an organization imbibes design thinking into its processes, then design becomes integral in the development process. Now we start thinking design as a process. So this is the third stage in an organizational engagement of design thinking. The fourth stage is design as a strategy. So now design gets imbibed within the strategic vision of the organization. When we're talking about strategy, we're talking about design thinking. So design thinking is the key to the strategic means of encouraging innovation. So whenever we are innovating in an organization, automatically design comes to the picture because design is already built into the DNA of the organization. So these are the four stages in the design ladder. First is non-design, like there is no design at all. Second is design as a style. Third is design as a process, wherein design is being used in the development process. And fourth is design as a strategy. Design is imbibed in the strategic vision of the organization. Everything that is coming out of it is design oriented. So that is the design ladder. So a similar academic concept that was presented by Kustara in 2009 was called the design staircase. So design staircase is similar to design ladder with a few incremental adjustments. So here in a design staircase, the first stage is that there is no design management. There is absolutely no design management in the organization. So design is absent, just like the design ladder. Design is absent. Second, design is being seen as a project. So it is not being seen as a full-time venture, it is seen as a project. So every now and then when you feel the need of putting some design, some styling in, you use design. Otherwise, you don't use design. So design becomes more of a project that has a starting as an and an end. The third stage is that you use design as a function. So now design has become an integral component of the organization and it is interacting with other functional elements too. So design has become a function in an organization. And finally, design has become the culture. So we talk about organizational culture. So design gets imbibed into an organizational culture, and whatever we do it from a design standpoint. So both from an organizational point of view and the designer's point of view, design becomes very important because it becomes an organizational culture kind of a thing. That like some culture have got like some organizations have got excellence as a culture, some organizations have got speed as a culture, some organizations have got perfection as a culture. So design also becomes a culture of such organization according to the design management staircase construct. And some of the factors which facilitate this transition from no design to design as a culture or awareness about how much design is there in the organization. So the employees, are they aware about how much design or like how much the organization is aware about the design concept, how much design planning the organizations have done in the while doing the organizational planning. So how much design has been implemented in the planning stage? How many design resources do they have? Are they aware? Like, so do they have enough resources to implement design thinking in the organization? How much expertise do they have in implementing design? And how much of process orientation in design do they have when we talk about design management staircase? So these are the five factors which determine whether an organization is at staircase 1 or staircase 4. So the more aware that organization is about design thinking, the more planned the organization is, the more resourceful, the more expertise the organization has about design thinking, the more prominent they're going to be when it comes to design management. So this is like one of the important constructs which was there. Now, another important construct is the balance scorecard. Now, here in this construct, we start examining the value of design thinking. So, what is the value that design thinking is bringing to the table? And we as designers, like whenever we are designing a solution, or whenever we are teaching design thinking, or whenever we are researching design thinking, then what is the value that we should be looking at? So as a designer, how should we appear through our design to our customers in order to achieve our vision? So when we are designing a product, so how should we appear to the customer? Because customer is a very important stakeholder group. So how should we appear to a customer when it comes to design? So like whenever we are implementing a design has to be customer oriented. So what is the market value that we are bringing in? What is the brand value we are bringing in? How much customer satisfaction we are generating? How much customer loyalty we are creating? So that is the customer value that we are bringing in to our design. The second is performance value. So the customer value is more for like, those of you who are in marketing and management side. Now, those of you who are in engineering side, those who are in technology side, so they bring in performance value. So how much value design is bringing to the performance of the processes that you are developing in the organization? How much value is design creating in innovation? How much design is value is design creating in improved processes? How much how better the timeliness of the delivery of the products has become? How much of information management systems we have imbibed when we talk about design. So, what is the performance value that is coming out of design? Similarly, then for academics, what is the learning value? How much we have learned, how much we have improved, how much we have changed, how much we have evolved, how much we have been motivated. So that is the learning value that is coming out of design. So whenever we are designing a solution, we have to keep this in mind. And what is the learning value? What is the customer value? What is the performance value? And what is the learning value? And finally, what is the financial value? So everybody like who is on the finance side, so, like, what is the financial value? Because it is also important that design has to give a return on investment. What is the stock market value that is going to be generated by the means of a design? Like, will our stock value go up, or will our stock value come down by the virtue of a design? Will we be socially responsible? Will we be ethically responsible? What value we are creating for a society by the means of a design? So all these things are considered when we think about the balance scorecard. So this comes about the value of the design. So now that we have understood like what are the different academic constructs, I'm going to quickly do a little bit of a recapitulation of what design thinking is and what design thinking is not. So design thinking, so now that based on like whatever we have seen so far, design thinking is a human-centered approach to solve a problem. Design thinking is a problem-solving approach. We all know that. And design thinking is a human-centered problem-solving approach. We always keep the end user, the human at the center of the problem solving and innovation process. So design thinking is a human centered process. Design thinking enables us to better understand the end user's needs and wants because we empathize in the design process, we talk to our customers, we understand our customers, and that way we are able to precisely and accurately understand their needs and wants. Design thinking brings creativity and innovation to the table. So, like, our creativity is fostered, our innovation is fostered, both from an individual standpoint and an organizational standpoint. We become more creative, we become more innovative when we go about implementing design thinking. And finally, design thinking is an iterative process, it's a non-linear process, and it is used to create the best results. the near perfect solution that we have talked about. So this is design thinking is all about. This is what is design thinking. Now, what is not design thinking? This is also like one of the questions that we frequently get in our workshops, that what is not design thinking. So design thinking is not something that is limited to the designers, artists, and creative people. So design thinking is something that can be done by anybody and everybody. So you don't have to have a particular degree for that. You don't have to be an artist for that. You don't have to be like quote unquote creative person for that, or a designer or certified designer for that. Design thinking, now that like we know the design thinking process from its core, we know the design thinking can be done by anyone and everyone. So design thinking is not limited to one or two or three particular entities. It is limited to, it is like open to everyone. So design thinking is not just a process to make products look pretty. So we were talking about the value. So design thinking is a lot more than aesthetics. Design thinking, the value that is being created is a lot more than stylish style value or aesthetic value. So design thinking is a lot bigger than just making the products look pretty. So this, and then one very important thing is design thinking, as we had seen in the applications of design thinking is not a replacement to analytical problem solving process. So like I think Mr. Jadip was had asked this question, that is this like, can data be used in the empathy process? Yes, data can be used in the empathy process, although the primary focus is to get the real time observations. But design thinking is not a replacement for analytical problem solving. Analytical problem solving has its place. Design thinking also has its place. So we have to kind of make sure that we keep a right amount of balance, to make sure that we don't get confused that, like design thinking is a process that completely replaces analytical problem solving. No, that is not the case. Analytical problem solving is a very important concept. Analytical problem solving is there and it will always remain there, and it will always be a very, very powerful tool in the problem solving process. Design thinking is no replacement for that. And design thinking is something that only trained people can do. No, design thinking is something that everyone can do. So you don't have to require any particular set of training. You just need to understand that what are the different nitty-gritties of the design thinking process. Once you get an understanding, then design thinking would be so much simpler. Because as I keep on saying over and over again, design thinking is more about doing. It's less about thinking. So what are the benefits of design thinking? So, from an organizational standpoint, design thinking is bringing an innovative culture in an organization. So, when we continuously innovate, when we continuously improvise ourselves, we tend to stay longer in the market. If we stop innovating, if we stop improving, we are out of the market because it is so competitive out there, we get kicked out completely. Design thinking brings a human perspective to innovation. So that human perspective that was initially missing when we were developing a product is now present in innovation thanks to design thinking. It improves customer satisfaction. Obviously, something that is designed for the customer, something that takes customer point of view into consideration, will definitely yield customer satisfaction. So design thinking improves customer satisfaction. And design thinking seeks continuous improvement. And we were talking about continuous, we were talking about products that needs continuous upgradation. So design thinking is something that seeks continuous improvement in the product or service, because it's like an iterative process. It keeps going on loop, it does not stop. Even if the product is in practice, if product is in market already, we still keep developing the product further and further using the design thinking process, because we have to keep sure that we are tracking the mood of the customer. So design thinking always seeks to continuously improve the product or the service. And finally, what is the design thinking mindset? So design thinking is a process, design thinking is a strategy, design thinking is a problem solving approach, design thinking is an innovation tool. Design thinking is also a mindset. And so what exactly is a design thinking mindset? I get this question a lot of times because design thinking mindset is also an academic construct. So design thinking tends to put the end users first. So the end users are at the center of the design thinking process. We have discussed this. Design thinking mindset is about asking the right questions. So questions is very important, and that's why I was saying over and over again, please ask questions, because we have to get into the design thinking mode. We have to ask questions. Unless and until we ask questions, we'll not be able to figure out what are right questions, what are wrong questions, because good questions will generate good answers. So that's why it's very important for us to ask the right questions. And we as academics, we as researchers know it the best, that what is the importance of asking the right questions. Design thinking is a group activity, it's a collaborative activity. So the value that is coming out of design thinking is collaboration and co-creation. So design thinking mindset is to work as a good team player. Design thinkers act, they don't speculate. Design thinking is about doing. They don't speculate, they don't make wild assumptions, they don't make guesses, they act. They understand what is the real problem. They'll not make an assumption, okay, this is the problem, out of the mind. They will keep their biases aside, and they will see the things from a non-speculative perspective. Design thinking mindset will tend to prototype to demonstrate. I mean, they'll not just go about telling people what to do and what not to do. They're going to go up with the prototype of a solution, and they're going to tell people this is something that we have developed. So that's the design thinking mindset. And design thinking mindset is not afraid to iterate. Design thinking mindset is not afraid to fail early. So that is the design thinking mindset. And with that being said, I would like to thank you all very much for a very patient hearing. So, and now I'm open to questions. I think we still have 3 minutes with us. So we can take a few questions.
Sir, can we say design thinking like improve productivity?
Or design thinking, one of the applicabilities, one of the applications of design thinking, or like I should say, one of the outcomes of design thinking is improved productivity, improved innovation process. So design thinking, if we see design thinking as a process, the
Yes.
outcome is improved activity. So if you
Yes.
see design thinking as an enabler, then also the outcome is improved productivity.
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Hello.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mr.
Hello. I'm Dr. Manoj Naik, Head of Department Mechanical Engineering. As you have said, design thinking is putting the end users first. My question will be completely apolitical. As you know, the current governmental setup intends to unearth the facts, myths, and mysteries, and trying to revisit the country's historical past. So should you suggest the academics and the researchers should apply the design thinking approach, as lot of information will be heuristic stage?
I could not get the last part of the question, sir. If you could just
Uh,
repeat that.
in fact, if you consider design thinking more of the effective empathy, and
Hmm.
since most of the information that will be available if you revisit the historical past will be in heuristic stage. You have taught the knowledge funnel from mystery to heuristic stage
Hmm.
algorithm.
Hmm.
So all
Yes,
the
sir.
informations that will be unearthed will be in heuristic stage. No scientific explanation will be there. So
Yes.
should the researchers apply the design thinking process for this? Would you suggest for that?
Of course, sir. Of course, I would suggest apply design thinking to out there. So whenever like we have to demystify the things, I know, like like our historical past has been distorted. I mean, you want to keep this apolitical, but I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. So there are actually, like, if we actually look into our historical past, especially India's historical past, India has got a very rich culture. So if we look into the history, like we'll be able to find many solutions to the existing problems, many solutions to the existing challenges. So design thinking is definitely a concept that can be applied to look into a historical past and further refine and demystify the problems which exist in the society. So yes, I would definitely recommend design thinking to go about demystifying our historical past from a from a heuristic to algorithmic standpoint.
Thank you.
So any other questions before we close for the day?
So there is one question from my side.
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is Dr. Abhijit Malge. So as we know that design thinking is very intuitive process, and wherein we see the different steps, right from empathizing, and then problem definition, then ideation, then it is followed by prototyping and testing and iteration. So when we see to the steps, it seems to be a very structured process, and wherein if the design thinking on the other hand, it's very intuitive. So what is your say on this?
So what I would say here is that design thinking is definitely intuitive, and the key here is that design thinking is iterative. So as I had mentioned many times in the presentation, the design thinking is not something that is linear. So when we talk about structured, we usually think about linear relationships, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it is done. However, design think has got something known as feedback loops. And when we look in design thinking into greater details, we'll find out that there are multiple feedback loops that are working in the same time when we are applying when we are applying design thinking at an organizational level. So when we are applying multiple feedback loops, when we are iterating continuously, so even though design thinking is a very intuitive process, the design thinking is a very structured process, it still becomes a very like what should be the right word for that? It still becomes like a very astute process for solving the problems here. So the key here is that design thinking is not a linear process. So design thinking is iterative, and that is something that we cannot take away from design thinking. So that is my take. That whenever we think about design thinking, we should never think that design thinking is going to be a linear process. Design thinking will never be linear. Design thinking will be structured, but it is going to be structured in loops. There is going to be like no precise starting point and an end point for design thinking. So whatever intuitiveness that we get from design thinking is through the process itself. So we have to assimilate ourselves into the design thinking process to understand the crux of design thinking. So that is what like I understand from design thinking, from my practice and from my academic research so far. Does that
Yeah.
answer your
Okay.
question?
Thank you.
So I think like we are past the time now.
Good
The
morning, sir.
inaugural to
Arvind sir,
start.
Arvind sir,
Oh, do we have any other question?
Arvind sir, Raindra Kumar this side.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, recently we have received a notification from the competent authority of UGC that they are
Sir, I'm barely able to hear you.
okay. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, sir.
Okay. Recently, we received a notification from the government of India that they are allowing national education policy. Do you think there is
Mhm.
a design thinking behind that?
That I don't know.
Okay,
so,
okay, okay.
so if government has applied design
Because
thinking,
because all are from academic side and they are willing to know about that. Is there is something design thinking approach is used by the government or not? Because they are applying, they are allowing something new pedagogy to teach the student in the classrooms, as well as new entry systems they are allowing. That's why I am asking.
okay, so I think I'm getting your question. The new education policy is what I have got a gist of the new education policy by reading at the draft of the new education policy is that it is a very effective policy. So how the policy was designed, whether design thinking was used to develop it or not, I mean, I'm not the right person to answer that. But definitely, I mean, design thinking is a concept that has definitely gathered, like, it has definitely caught the attention of the government. This I can say because there are many government programs, there are many government schemes which are centered around design.
Hello, hello. Sorry, you are unmuted. You are muted, sir. Arvind sir.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was saying here was that when we talk about like whether design thinking was used to formulate the national education policy or not. I mean, I'm not in a position to answer that question because I was not the policy maker. But what I can say is that design thinking has caught the attention of the policy makers at the highest level. So, so the policy, so institutes, so institutes at the highest level are actually deploying design thinking. They're using design thinking constructs to come up with solutions. We know National Skill Development Mission. We know like institutes of entrepreneurship. So they are using design thinking to go about creating solutions. So whether design thinking was used in the national in preparing the draft of the national policy, that I don't know. But yes, design thinking has design thinking has the attention of the senior policy makers. That I'm aware of. So does that answer your question? Probably yes or no.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Approximately,
Okay.
not accurate. Because uh,
Okay. So any other question that we have?
no, sir. Now we are moving for the formal inaugural session.
Okay,
Uh,
so I'll
so,
unshare my screen here.
yes, sir. Yes.
And I would like to thank everyone one more time for a very patient hearing. You were an amazing audience. And thank you very much, Rajendra sir, for giving me this opportunity to come and talk to you. And thank you everyone for your lovely questions. Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas. Thank you very much, Dr. Naik. And yeah, thank you very much. And I'm going to wish you all the best. And I'm sure, like during this course of the week, during the entire FDP program, you're going to be learning many more concepts about design thinking, and your understanding about design thinking is going to get enhanced. So, thank you very much for that. Take care.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank, thank you, Arvind sir, for the wonderful session.
Arvind sir, you please stay here for half an hour because our PVC sir will interact with you.
Okay, okay, absolutely, absolutely. I'm here.
Yes.
Thank you, Arvind sir, for the session. All the participants kindly stay tuned for a couple of minutes, and we'll be starting with our inaugural session. Good morning, everyone. As previously mentioned during the start of the session at 9 a.m., there will be an inaugural session by AICTE, and it will be online and on YouTube. And the link for the same shall be shared on your email IDs and as well as the WhatsApp groups. So before that, we would like to start we would like to brief a little about our own inaugural session. So for that, I would like to welcome Professor Manoj Nayak. So Professor Nayak is the head of the Department of the Mechanical Engineering at Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies. Sir has completed his PhD from NIT Hamirpur, having several research papers in reputed journals internationally. He has over 15 years of teaching experience over his previous 10 years of industry experience. So Professor Naik will be giving you an overview of the faculty development program as well as about the department. Over to you, sir.
Hello and welcome you all. I should thank Mr. Arvind Deshmukh sir for his amazing talk on the topic of design concept, specifically categorizing his talk into two areas: design thinking for researchers and design thinking for practitioners. It was indeed a wonderful talk. I feel extremely privileged and honored to welcome our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor Sir Dr. Pradeep Kumar, respected Associate Dean Ma'am Dr. Geeta Nijavan, the speaker of this session Mr. Arvind Deshmukh, Dr. Rajendra Kumar, the coordinator of this program, Mr. Dane Thomas and Mr. Arun Gaur, who will be the moderating the sessions of this program, and my dear participants across the country who are attending for this faculty development program. A very good morning to all of you. As we all know, AICTE Training and Learning Atal Academy is conducting online FDP on various thrust areas and emerging areas with an objective to plan and help in imparting quality technical education in the country and supporting technical institutions in fostering research, innovation, entrepreneurship through various training in various emerging areas. On the behest of AICTE team, the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies has been given an opportunity to conduct this FDP program on design thinking for manufacturing excellence. My sincere gratitude to the AICTE Atal team for supporting us in organizing such an event. In addition to that, I would thank all the senior management and functionaries from the institutions who have allowed all the dear esteemed faculty members to participate in this program. Before giving you the brief about this FDP program, I want to brief about the department. The Department of Mechanical Engineering of Faculty of Engineering Technology, Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies has been thrice NBA accredited in the year 2004, 2007, and 2018 since its inception in the year 1997. Currently, the courses offered are BTech Honors in Mechanical Engineering with specialization in mechatronics and electric vehicles, with the other two verticals as tool design and CAD/CAM, heating, ventilations, and air conditioning. We also offer MTech in industrial engineering and PhD programs in various specialized area in mechanical engineering. The department have highly qualified faculty members who are actively involved in research and innovation in the field of mechanical engineering. The department has strong industry academia interaction to carry out the research and consultancies related activities to cater to the demand of the industries. Before proceeding further, it is my duty to lay down the brief about the program. Since design thinking is receiving increased worldwide attention in both engineering and business management. This virtual FDP being supported by AICTE aims to conceptualize the importance of design thinking while designing the products or services in the context of Industry 4.0, which is a major component of business competitiveness. It is analytical and a creative process that engages a person in opportunities to experiment, create, prototype a model, gather feedback, and redesign. Taking these points into consideration, we have invited various speakers from IITs and IIMs and also from the industries. Our day one, which we have already started, Mr. Arvind Deshmukh, who is a consultant and entrepreneur, had given a wonderful talk on design thinking concept, which will be followed by unleashing the creativity by Dr. D. Kumar, who is from IIT Guwahati. And we will end the day with the last session, which will be delivered by Dr. Sonal Atreya from IIT Roorkee. She will be talking on creative versus design solution. Now, day two will start with session one as by Dr. Rajat Agrawal. He is from IIT Roorkee. He will talk on innovations and inventions in design thinking. Followed by the second session, involution of human ergonomic in product design and development by Dr. Urmi Ravindra Salve from IIT Guwahati. And the last session from tomorrow will be integration of advanced analytical tools in design by Mr. Sarad Maho. He is a senior application engineer from Design Tech Private Limited. Followed by several other topics in the next 3 days to come. I'm just reading out various topics which we'll be discussing are argument and critical skills using 6 heads techniques in manufacturing excellence. This talk will be given by Dr. Rajat Agrawal, is from IIT Roorkee. Integration of advanced analytical tools in developing the design by Dr. Amit Sankar. He is from IIM Visakhapatnam. Application of artificial intelligence and machine learning in design by Dr. Anil Kumar, senior lecturer, London Metropolitan University. Role of organizational culture in manufacturing excellence by Dr. Dinesh Khanduja, who is a professor from Mechanical Engineering Department, Kurukshetra. Design sustainability by Professor Lalit Das. He is a visiting faculty of Delhi Technical University. Involution of design thinking in product development by Professor Vijay Bapat from IDC School of Design, IIT Mumbai. Scope of design thinking, myths and reality in manufacturing context by Mr. R.K. Bantha Nawaz, is the founder, Helios Innovation Private Limited. Colleagues, the current educational practices has left many students disengaged. I hope the takeaway of this FDP with a skill set for design thinking, design cognitions, design behavior, design studying, design reasoning, design process, visual thinking, and prototyping will help us a lot. Teaching and helping the students to think like a designer may better prepare them to deal with difficult situations and to solve complex problems in colleges, universities, or in their careers, or in their life in general, which will be a new educationally valuable skills along with digital literacy. Teaching the young mind about design thinking will help them develop a growth mindset and important problem solving, analytical skills, and spatial thinking skills. Design thinking will also stress imagination capability of the student in generating lot of ideas. I hope this faculty development program in the area of design thinking will have a valuable results for all the faculty members for making themselves or putting themselves as a role model for students, peers, colleges, universities, and the society as a whole, for which the value of this current ongoing program will be apparent, and the management of the higher education need to have a proper plan of implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I would now like to welcome Professor Pradeep Kumar. Professor Pradeep Kumar is the Pro Vice Chancellor of Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies. Sir is an educationist and a visionary leader, having over 30 years of experience in teaching and research. He has completed his PhD from National Physics Laboratory after completing his Masters from Jamia Millia Islamia. Sir was also rewarded Research Associate Fellowships by CSIR and DRDO. Sir has authored several books and published several papers in the international journals and conferences. So I would like to welcome Professor Pradeep Kumar to address the participants. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I welcome all the participants in Manav Rachna for the FDP program being awarded to us by Atal AICTE team. So as Professor Manohar Nayak has briefed about the different contents to be discussed during this 5 days long FDP program. So I'm happy to note that eminent speakers from IIT Guwahati, IIT Roorkee, IIT Kurukshetra, IIT Mumbai, DTU, and also from industry, they will be interacting with the students and sharing their experience in the areas of design. Now, when we talk about design, though we have started this FDP under the banner of Mechanical Engineering Department, but in the university, we can see there are many verticals, maybe the architecture and design, School of Design, we have the BSc Design and other areas where design is a emerging area where we require students, faculty, and researchers from all different domains. Now, as far as new education policy is concerned, we are talking about the interdisciplinary approach, the cross-disciplinary approach, and the multidisciplinary approach. So the university or with the researchers are talking about, we should not restrain ourselves or for a particular area where we are working when we're talking about the design. So to me, design thinking is a process to discover new opportunities to meet and exceed a user's expectation. Good design combines technology, cognitive science, human need, and the beauty to produce something that the world didn't know it was missing. It is a result of both the focused mindset on solution and the philosophy to maintain the business activities. If I say there are basic steps as a design thinking is concerned, first we should fully understand the problem. That is why we say the first step is ideation. Go and find a problem. The second, explore a wide range of possible solutions. So when we explore a wide range of possible solutions, and here comes the approach of multidisciplinary. Material testing, strength, fine economics. There are many parameters which are taken into consideration. And the third is extensively going through the prototype and testing. Now here the research component will come. And finally, when you implement, and how the product is to be marketed, how the branding is to be done, how this will be different from the existing solutions, and how it will be accepted by the masses in large. The skills associated with these steps help people apply creativity to effectively solve real world problems better than they otherwise would. Once you master the skills centered to design thinking approach, they can be applied to solve problems in daily life and for any industry. Today, design thinking can be used to for all the professional development opportunity. I know the faculty, when we talk about the faculty and researchers, they have numerous pressing responsibilities, and to find a new design, new innovation, new thinking, you require a lot of time. So for me, if the students or the researchers can discuss these problems and try to find a solution where multidisciplinary approach is also a component, so it will be a better output to the society. I'm happy and I congratulate the Department of Mechanical Engineering for selecting this emerging technology area, which I feel will not only help the UG and PG student, but also the researchers. And at the end of the 5-day program, we will be able to have a new directions in the area of design thinking. Congratulations to Dr. Manoj Nayak and his entire team. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now I would like to welcome Professor Geeta Nijawan. Professor Geeta is the Associate Dean for the Faculty of Engineering and Technology at Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies. She has over 15 years of academic and research experience. Ma'am has authored several books and research papers in several journals and international conferences. I would request ma'am to conclude the inaugural session with a vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dave. Warm and graceful morning to Honorable PVC Sir, Dr. Pradeep Kumar, HOD Mechanical Engineering, Dr. Manoj Nayak, esteemed speaker, Dr. Arvind Deshmukh, participants, and everyone present today. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks speech and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked really hard to make this Atal FDP happen. I, on behalf of Mechanical Engineering Department and the entire fraternity of FET MRIIRS, first of all, extend my most sincere thanks to the Almighty God. With His blessings and grace, we are able to make this event a reality. I extend a really hearty vote of thanks to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Arvind Deshmukh, who spared time from his busy schedule for the inaugural session. Today, we had an opportunity to hear his thoughts, and this will surely be going to help us in our future works. Your thoughts have enlightened our minds and have shown us a new path. My sincere gratitude to all the speakers who have given consent to be part of this FDP in spite of their busy schedule. We have been fortunate to have very renowned speakers from IITs, IIMs, and industries who will be sharing their expertise during this week-long FDP. We look forward to their sessions. I immensely appreciate the efforts of Dr. Rajinder Kumar, coordinator of this FDP, in making this FDP a reality. An event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling weeks ago. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very proactive and dedicated staff of our institution who are very well versed in their job. I am short of words for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. The title of FDP, Design Thinking for Manufacturing Excellence, is very apt in today's scenario. Design thinking has become synonymous with good design for product, processes, and services. I firmly believe that the inputs from the speakers will help the participants in harnessing the mindset towards the green design for manufacturing with critical thinking and innovativeness. My sincere gratitude to the AICTE ATAL team for supporting us in all possible ways. Also, we are thankful to management and senior functionaries of MRIIRS for their rock solid support and encouragement. A special mention to our respected PVC sir, Dr. Pradeep Kumar, for being the catalyst that stimulated us to do our best and standing as pillar of strength. Sir, your suggestions and guidance helped us a lot to achieve excellence. I would also like to thank the people who worked behind the scene to make this event happen. Last but not the least, a big thank to each one of the participants who have registered for this FDP. We are grateful to you for taking time for attending this FDP. We value your participation and hope it will be a great learning experience for each one of you. Thank you all once again and my best wishes for this FDP. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all the dignitaries for sparing a few words and a few moments for the FDP inaugural session. I would like to request all the participants to kindly turn on their camera for a few moments so that we can take a group photograph for the inaugural session. It's a kind request, everyone, please turn on your cameras so that we can take a group photograph. Thank you all of them. For a brief second, please hold on. Okay, thank you all for the cooperation. Now, as previously informed, the AICTE inaugural session is about to start, and the link for the same will be shared to you on your emails and your WhatsApp groups. In the meantime, there is a feedback form which will be available in your chat box right now. Kindly fill the form, and then you can all attend the AICTE inaugural function. We will meet again at 1 p.m. for the next session.
Dear participants, the feedback link is on the chat box. You can fill the feedback form, and after 12:45 we will meet again.
Till then it's a break, right?
Till then it is break. You can join the AICTE ATAL inaugural session on the YouTube. I have shared all the details on your mail IDs. Thank you.